the Blackwood Manor, a name whispered with fear and reverence in the small town of Hollow Creek. Built in 1888, the manor was more than just an architectural marvel. It was a vessel, overflowing with tragic history, a place where joy turned to sorrow, and life was traded for an unnerving, eternal presence. Locals spoke of the Blackwood family, driven to madness and death within these very walls. Their souls, they said, never left.
No way, man. No way am I stepping foot in that place.
Mark shivered, pulling his jacket tighter. We were gathered around a crackling fire, the warm glow a stark contrast to the chilling tales of Blackwood Manor. It was Kevin, ever the daredevil, who had challenged us to spend a night in the infamous house.
Scared, Mark? Don't worry, the ghosts only come out for...
The air grew heavy as we approached the manor. A blanket of fog had descended, clinging to the overgrown lawns and twisting branches like spectral fingers. The once grand facade was now a canvas of decay, the windows like vacant eyes staring out into the night. My heart pounded against my ribs as I reached for the iron gate, its cold metal biting into my skin. This was it. There was no turning back. Dust motes danced in the beams of our flashlights, illuminating the oppressive darkness within. The air was thick with the smell of decay, a musty reminder of the years gone by. Each footstep echoed through the cavernous halls, the sound amplified by the eerie silence that hung in the air.
Did you hear that?
Emily whispered, her voice barely audible. A soft, rustling sound like whispers on the wind seemed to emanate from the shadows at the far end of the hall. Section 5. The Unseen Guest. The night was still, the air thick with an unsettling silence as we approached the mansion. Its towering silhouette loomed against the moonlit sky, casting long, eerie shadows that seemed to dance with a life of their own. The mansion, once a grand symbol of opulence, now stood as a decaying relic of a bygone era, its windows dark and lifeless, like the hollow eyes of a forgotten soul. We cautiously explored the decaying grandeur of the manor, our footsteps echoing through the vast, empty hallways. The walls, adorned with peeling wallpaper and faded portraits, whispered tales of a time long past. Each creak of the floorboards beneath our feet sent shivers down our spines, as if the house itself was alive, watching our every move. Each room a testament to a forgotten era, filled with antique furniture draped in dust and cobwebs. The air was thick with the scent of mildew and decay, a stark reminder of the passage of time. We moved from room to room, our flashlights casting eerie shadows on the walls, revealing glimpses of the mansion's former glory. In the music room, a grand piano sat shrouded in dust, its once polished surface now dull and lifeless. The room, once filled with the melodies of a bygone era, now stood silent, the only sound the faint rustle of the wind through the broken windows. The piano, a symbol of the mansion's former elegance, seemed to hold its own secrets waiting to be discovered. Its ebony finish dulled with time, the piano stood as a silent witness to the passage of years. The keys, once touched by skilled hands, were now covered in a thick layer of dust, their ivory surfaces yellowed with age. It was as if the piano itself had been forgotten, left to decay along with the rest of the mansion. As I ran my fingers over the ivory keys, a sense of melancholy washed over me. The keys felt cold and unyielding beneath my touch, a stark contrast to the warmth they once held. I could almost hear the faint echoes of music that once filled the room, a haunting reminder of the past. A discordant note rang out, echoing through the silent house. The sound was jarring, a sharp contrast to the oppressive silence that had enveloped us. It was as if the piano was trying to communicate, to tell us something we couldn't quite understand. But what chilled me to the bone was the sight of the key, slowly depressing on its own. My heart raced as I watched, unable to comprehend what I was seeing. It was as if an unseen force was at play, manipulating the keys with a ghostly hand, slowly depressing on its own. The key moved with a deliberate, almost sinister intent. It was a sight that defied logic, a moment that seemed to stretch on forever. The air grew colder, and I could feel the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. As if played by an unseen hand, the key continued to move, each note more haunting than the last. It was a moment that would be etched in my memory forever, a chilling reminder of the unseen forces that lingered within the walls of the mansion. The unseen guest had made its presence known, and we were left to wonder what other secrets the mansion held. Section 6. The temperature drops. The library was a tomb of forgotten knowledge, its shelves lined with leather-bound books, their pages brittle with age. The air was thick with the scent of dust and old paper, a testament to the years of neglect. Each book held stories long forgotten, waiting for someone to uncover their secrets. As we examined the faded titles, a sudden chill swept through the room. It was as if the very essence of the library had come alive, whispering secrets of the past. The temperature dropped noticeably, sending shivers down our spines. The once still air now felt charged with an eerie presence. The air grew heavy, making it difficult to breathe. Each breath felt labored, as if the atmosphere itself was pressing down on us. The foggy air seemed to cling to our skin, adding to the sense of unease that permeated the room. It was as if the library was trying to communicate, to warn us of something unseen.
Guys, do you feel that? The sudden drop in temperature was impossible to ignore. It felt like we had stepped into another world, one where the rules of nature no longer applied.
Sarah asked, her voice trembling. Her eyes darted around the room, searching for the source of the cold. The fear in her voice was palpable, and it only served to heighten our own sense of dread. We knew something was wrong, but we couldn't quite put our finger on it. We huddled together, our breath misting in the air as the temperature plummeted. The cold was unlike anything we had ever experienced, seeping into our bones and making us shiver uncontrollably. It felt as if the very soul of the library was trying to reach out to us, to make us understand its plight. It felt as if an icy hand had reached out from the shadows, wrapping itself around our hearts. The sensation was both terrifying and mesmerizing, as if we were being drawn into a story that was not our own. The shadows seemed to dance around us, their movements almost hypnotic. We could feel the presence of something ancient and powerful, something that had been waiting for us for a very long time. The flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows on the walls, adding to the sense of foreboding. Each flicker seemed to reveal a new secret, a new piece of the puzzle that was the library. We were drawn deeper into the mystery, unable to resist the pull of the unknown. Time seemed to slow down, each second stretching into an eternity. We exchanged worried glances, each of us wondering what we had gotten ourselves into. The library was no longer just a place of books and knowledge. It had become a living entity, one that demanded our attention and respect. As we turned the pages of an old book, dust particles floated in the air, catching the light and creating an almost magical atmosphere. The words on the pages seemed to come alive, telling us stories of the past, of people who had once walked these very halls. It was a reminder that we were not alone, that the library had seen many before us and would see many after. We moved cautiously through the library, our senses heightened by the strange occurrences. Each step was taken with care, each movement calculated. We were determined to uncover the truth, no matter what it took. The library had become a labyrinth of mysteries, and we were its explorers, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Section 7. A Glimmer in the Hall. A flicker of light caught my eye as we made our way down a long, dark hallway. It seemed to be coming from under a door at the far end, casting dancing shadows on the opposite wall.
What is that?
Emily whispered, her grip tightening on my arm. Curiosity warred with fear as we slowly approached the door, the flickering light growing brighter with each step. With bated breath, I reached for the handle. The door creaked open, revealing a small, dusty bedroom. A single candle flickered on a nightstand, casting long, distorted shadows across the room. And then we saw it. Standing in the center of the room, shrouded in darkness, was a figure. Its features were obscured by the shadows, but its eyes burned with an unnatural light, piercing through the gloom and locking onto mine.
A blood-curdling scream escaped Emily's lips, shattering the silence.
Panic surged through me. We had to get out, and fast. Turning on our heels, we fled the room, our footsteps pounding against the wooden floors. Down the hallway through the main hall we ran, the figure's haunting gaze seemingly following our every move. We burst through the front door and into the cool night air, the oppressive atmosphere of the manor lifting slightly. But the terror lingered. We didn't speak as we huddled around the dying embers of the campfire, the silence between us heavy with unspoken fears and shared memories. Each flicker of the fire seemed to cast shadows of the horrors we had witnessed, dancing on the edges of our vision. The first light of dawn painted the sky in hues of gray and purple, a stark contrast to the darkness that had enveloped us just hours before. It was as if the world was trying to cleanse itself of the night's terrors, but we knew that the scars would remain. The events of the night were seared into our minds, the terror still fresh, the images still vivid. Ghostly apparitions had appeared out of nowhere, their hollow eyes and twisted forms haunting our every step. We had stumbled through the dark, our flashlights barely piercing the oppressive gloom, our hearts pounding in our chests. The Blackwood Manor had lived up to its sinister reputation. Its decaying walls and overgrown gardens seemed to whisper secrets of the past, tales of sorrow and despair that had seeped into the very fabric of the building. We had heard the stories, but nothing could have prepared us for the reality. We had gone in seeking thrills, driven by curiosity and a desire to test our courage. The allure of the unknown had drawn us in, like moths to a flame, unaware of the danger that awaited us. But we left forever marked by the experience. The fear we had felt was unlike anything we had ever known, a primal terror that had gripped us and refused to let go. It had changed us, leaving invisible scars that would never fully heal.
We had gone in seeking thrills, thinking it would be just another adventure, another story to tell. But what we found inside those walls was something far more sinister, something that would haunt us for the rest of our lives. But we left forever, marked by the experience. The haunted expressions on our faces told the story of a night we would never forget. A night that had changed us in ways we were only beginning to understand. The Blackwood Manor had taken something from us, something we could never get back.
The human mind is a powerful thing. It can conjure up terrors that rival any Hollywood horror. But there are times in the darkest corners of the world where the line between reality and the supernatural blurs. Was what we experienced at Blackwood Manor simply our imaginations running wild? Or did we truly encounter something unexplained, something that defied logic and reason? The answer, like the shadows in that haunted house, remains elusive. And that perhaps is the most terrifying truth of all.